Her latest boss is missing, her mother is terminally ill and maybe even passed on by now. She had to go on the run, and the police probably have more than a few questions for her if they can find her. Charley's life is more hectic than most people's. The only thing that could make it more insane is looping in someone as chaotic as Dexter Morgan. And yet, Charley is back in New York and making his business her business, because that worked out so well before. There are only a couple of reasons she could be honing in on Dexter, and season 2 of Resurrection is sure to reveal which it is. But for now, we can only speculate, and the fan theories are going crazy. Today, we are hyper-analyzing what Charley's return to New York could possibly mean for herself, Dexter, and the franchise as a whole. Moving to a small town in another state was probably the best bet for Charley. She may have quit her job as Leon Prater's head of security, but before she mustered up the courage to do that, she committed a multitude of crimes. After years of black ops service for the US military, Charley probably expected to transition into an equally impressive and perfectly legal line of work when she retired. And maybe if her mother hadn't been in dire need of incredibly expensive medical care, she wouldn't have ended up playing lackey to a megalomaniacal billionaire with an unhealthy affinity for serial killers. Unfortunately for Charley, that is exactly where she found herself. During that time, she arranged hits for hire, threatened and beat people into submission, and even committed murder. All of that just to keep Leon Prater safe so he would keep her mother alive. And she spent most of that time thinking Prater was keeping her safe in return. But in reality, he couldn't care less about her, unless he was useful to him. Remember when she was almost killed by Dexter after interrogating and intimidating Harrison at Prater's behest? Leon didn't care at all. He only wanted to see the scar the Gagley saw left on her neck. If there was any doubt about how little she mattered to him before that, there definitely wasn't any after. As if that wasn't bad enough, he maintained an up-to-date file of all of her comings and goings, including the crimes she committed for him. And he was definitely planning on using that file as leverage later on if she ever became a problem for him. With the dirt he had on her, Leon could have blackmailed her into working for him forever, or he could have just turned it over to his connections in law enforcement and gotten her put away for life if he ever decided that she was no longer necessary. And Leon was slowly but surely becoming more unhinged. He wanted to convene with killers. He didn't even care when they threatened to kill her. He killed Angel, who he thought was a cop, on the very night of his famous gala for police officers. He thought he was untouchable, and that kind of delusional thinking is exactly what got him killed. And if Charley hadn't cut and run when she did, it could have gotten her killed too. When Dexter showed her the file Leon had on her, Charley didn't just see the betrayal, she saw the writing on the wall. Whatever money Leon was offering her wasn't worth it. Amherst was the best option for her and her sickly mother. She could probably keep them safe if anyone ever came looking for them, and if that didn't happen, she could give her mother the most comfort possible in her final years, which is all Charley really cared about in the first place. When she left New York, Leon was breathing, so was her mom, and there was a good chance that the authorities would be after her at some point soon, but she wasn't a wanted woman just yet, and a lot must have changed since that night. First of all, one thing we know changed: Leon's heart rate. Because he disappeared without a trace, there'd be no way for police to confirm that Leon was actually killed, and any official reports would declare him as missing. And it's not hard to believe that he might still be alive. After all, he was a billionaire with elite protection. If he wanted to go off the grid, he would have no problem pulling that off, but Charley would almost certainly know better than that. After years of working for the man, she knows Leon Prater through and through. With an ego as big as his, he wouldn't just disappear without a fight. Thinking he could control the outcome of any trial if he even let it get that far, Prater would stick around and manipulate everything from the legal process to public opinion to keep himself out of jail and on top of the world, even if they could positively connect him directly to Angel's death. Speaking of which, Charley knew where Angel's body was. She knew that Leon wouldn't just let police find his vault, yet somehow they did just that, and she knew the Bay Harbor Butcher's MO. They found Angel's body, but no trace of Leon, and absolutely no mention of Dexter in the press, despite her leaving him alive in that very vault. And Leon never retaliated. Dexter is still alive, Harrison is still kicking it, and he never came after Charley either, despite her threatening him to his face before skipping town. When she heard about everything in the news, she would know what it meant. Leon was dead, and Dexter's serial killer identity was still safely hidden. But she and Dexter were never on the best of terms, of course, so there is a high likelihood that he might have left her file there for police to find. That would mean her freedom was officially hanging by a thread. So even with Leon dead, there is no doubt she'd be extremely paranoid. Even if true, there isn't much she can do to protect herself from law enforcement if they come knocking with enough manpower. Her mother can't even walk, and she seems to need round-the-clock medical attention just to stay alive. Moving her safely from New York City to Pennsylvania was one thing, but dragging her from state to state and maybe even out of the country while she ran from the police probably wouldn't work out as well. With the heat on her, returning to New York is a very risky decision for a woman with a dying mother in another state, because she could be apprehended at any point, unable to return and give her mother the attention she needs. That can only mean one thing. By the time season 2 is kicking off, Charley's mother mother is already dead. Charley coming back to New York City indicates that her mother is no longer her top priority, and the only way that would ever be the case is if she had already passed away. That's just an early prediction, but I am willing to bet on it. So Leon is dead, her mother is gone, and she is most likely wanted by the police for a very uncomfortable interrogation, if nothing else. Charley is used to being the one doing the questioning and threatening. She can't be too keen on having those roles reversed, and she definitely has no interest in going down for the crimes Leon Prater forced her to commit under threat of stopping her mother's life-saving medical care. If she wants any chance at a normal life, she needs to disarm all of the bombs that were triggered the night Angel was murdered. There are a couple of ways she could do this, and in both scenarios, she has to get back to Dexter. That is where Season 2 is almost certainly going to start for Charley, but where does it go from there? Well, her options are limited, and her desire for answers has to be through the roof. How did Dexter escape the vault? Why haven't the cops already started looking for her? Is Dexter planning on taking her out himself at some point? The only way to figure everything out and prepare for whatever is coming next is to find Dexter. Of course, that won't be an issue for Charley. The first time she is ever introduced, she's shown breaking into the home of an incredible reclusive serial killer who she found on her own in just a few weeks, and she didn't even know what Red's face looked like. Tracking Dexter down will be a walk in the park for her. She has connections of her own, no doubt, and she knows New York like the back of her hand. Once she's got a lock on his location, Charley only needs to make sure her approach is right. Dexter has already outsmarted her at almost every turn, tricking her into believing he was Red, entering Prater's compound with a fake thumbprint, breaking into her house and her car, and then getting out of the vault when she thought for sure he'd die in there. Dexter basically blew up her entire life, and he knows way too much about her. Why wouldn't she want him dead? But wanting him gone and achieving that are two totally different things. By now, she knows better than to underestimate Dexter. She knows coming at him underprepared or overly confident is basically a suicide mission. Even when he is caught off guard, he manages to get the upper hand. No. The best way to come at Dexter is calmly and directly, even if you plan to kill him. For Charley, that means meeting him face to face and extracting all of the information she can about what happened after she left the gala. By the time she gets to him, she'll probably already have deduced that he took her file with him. But why would he do that? Obviously, Dexter didn't do that just to give Charley a break. The fact of the matter is that if the police came looking for her, she could have led them back to him and Harrison. And why wouldn't she? It isn't like they were friends. The last conversation they ever had was Dexter threatening to get her arrested and her leaving him to die with a gun aimed at his son. They hated each other. If Dexter let Charley get caught, it wouldn't be long before he was in cuffs himself. Even if he didn't do it for her, she's definitely thanking her lucky stars that he didn't make things any worse for her by turning that file over, but he could technically still use that file against her whenever he wanted, just like Prater planned to. And even if she got a good deal for turning him in first, she'd still have a record, be monitored by authorities for God knows how long, and maybe even spend years in jail. That doesn't really sound like her speed, which means she needs to make sure Dexter can never use that file against her, and the best way to do that is to take him out. That's why this theory works so well. Charley, trying to secure her freedom by silencing Dexter and destroying any trace of her file perfectly, explains why we are seeing her in New York again. And as plausible as that is, it isn't the only possible explanation. There is a major time jump between the end of Season 1 and the beginning of Season 2. We can tell, because it has been confirmed that Harrison is graduating from the police academy as Season 2 kicks off, but he had just officially enrolled at the Collins College of Criminology when Season 1 was wrapping up. Not to mention that in the cast and set photos, Charley's hair has grown much longer. Past her shoulders, in fact, a stark change from the signature blunt bob she was rocking in the first season. And in case there was any doubt, the newspapers shown in set photos from the filming of Season 2 display the year 2026 on the front page, but Season 1 was set in 2022. Who knows what kind of trouble Charley found herself in during those years? If there are any lingering vendettas from Leon's shady enterprise, or any people who she rubbed the wrong way while working for him, they could create a lot of trouble for her. But Dexter has been killing people, and getting away with it for years. Just think about it from her perspective. Besides the now late Captain Batista, no one seems to be looking for him anymore. The police never find a reason to bother him for too long, if at all. Even when he was arrested, he managed to escape jail, survive a coma, and not even have to hide his true identity or go back to prison when he recovered. Add to that everything that went down when he was pretending to be Red, and she has to know for a fact that Dexter is unbelievably clever. He escaped a vault that was thought to be impenetrable, killed one of the most heavily surveilled men in the world, all without leaving a trace and while avoiding the hundreds of police in the ballroom just a few stories below them. No one who has ever crossed Dexter is around to talk about it, and he gets away with everything. Even after all these years, he still glides, like a lizard on ice. If Charley was in a low to moderate level of danger, she could take care of herself. She wasn't Leon's head of security for nothing. All of her Black Ops training makes her more capable than most in terms of stealth and self-defense. But if things got too dangerous or the stakes of just shooting her way out became too high, she's smart enough to know when she needs outside assistance, and she wouldn't be afraid to go get it. With everything she has learned about him so far, Charley is well aware that Dexter would be the best person to help her out maneuver any enemy she couldn't handle on her own. Whether she needs help staying out of prison or help eliminating someone targeting her, Charley coming to get assistance from Dexter is an extremely fair theory to explain why she is back in the city, and Dexter has helped people he sympathized with before. Sometimes it bites him in the ass, but it is still well within his nature. When Lumen needed help tracking down the Barrel Girls gang, it took a bit of convincing, but pretty soon he was on board. And if you're thinking he only did that because Lumen was an innocent person, think again. Dexter doesn't only help perfectly innocent people. Jeremy Downs admitted to killing his classmate, and Dexter still went about helping him clean his fingernails to destroy evidence to help him stay out of prison. And remember when Miguel Prado murdered Ellen Wolf, a perfectly innocent defense attorney he simply didn't care for? Dexter could have made sure Miguel went down for that, or killed him himself according to the code as soon as he figured it out. Instead, he tried to help Miguel by showing him how dangerous such a reckless murder was without actually letting him get caught. And then there was the time he spent half of a season helping Travis Marshall escape Professor Geller's grip, even after he knew Travis helped kill people for that demented series of religious tabloids. And of course, his truce with Isaac Serco comes to mind. He put his life on hold to help Isaac kill the hitmen that were hunting him and get Hannah back. You get it. The point is that you don't have to be perfect for Dexter to stick his neck out for you, and if you have a sympathetic story, it's even more likely that he will help you out. It doesn't hurt that Charley has compromising information about him either. That ensures that helping her will mean helping himself, and it will keep his life in New York with Harrison running smoothly. It's an obvious win for both of them. And if Charley starts to become a real problem for him, Dexter can always just kill her. He knows that, and at this point, she better know it too. Basically, if she needs his help, he can definitely keep her alive, but if she wants him dead, he is definitely going to strap her to a table before the season ends. So for Charley's sake, let's just hope that she is coming to Dexter for an alliance and not on the offense. It just makes the most sense. Charley is highly resourceful, and Dexter is an excellent resource for someone in her position. On top of that, there are some very interesting set photos that just dropped indicating that the second theory is indeed the more likely of the two. In the set shots, Dexter and Charley are seen sitting outside of a cozy dinner spot in the city. They seem cordial enough in the pictures and are even shown sharing a bottle of wine. Of course, the actual context of the pictures is not yet known. They could be meeting for any number of reasons. Dexter is no stranger to using public settings to his advantage and to keep unpredictable adversaries away from his home and family. So just because the meeting looks innocent in the photos doesn't mean it actually is. They could be firing threats back and forth in that scene for all we know, but they could also be scheming together. Prater may be gone and a few years may have passed, but they aren't completely out of the woods just yet. With someone as high profile as Leon Prater in the wind after an ex-cop was found dead in his creepy serial killer shrine, it's unlikely that the police would just let the case go cold forever. That means that Leon's disappearance is still an open, unsolved case, and both Charley and Dexter were seen with him in the days leading up to his death. Dexter at the restaurant and Charley at the gala. The authorities could be aware of and interested in all of that. On top of that, last we saw him, Al Jolly Walker was still on the loose, planning to kill innocent women when he got back to Wisconsin. If he is ever apprehended, he could use the information he knows about Leon and Charley to get a lighter sentence. It's not like Leon can hurt him now if he does talk. He's been off the grid for years. In the course of an investigation like that, Charley and Dexter are liable to get caught up too. That makes Al a loose end for both of them. Getting rid of him might be just one of the things Dexter and Charley need to collaborate on this season, and it looks like there may be some extracurricular activities they'll be collaborating on as well. In perhaps the most interesting of all of the latest photos leaked from the set of season, Dexter and Charley are seen holding hands. Of course, everyone is now speculating that Charley is going to be Dexter's newest love interest, and it's not the craziest thing in the world. They are both trained killers with a void in their lives. Charley already knows everything about Dexter, so it isn't like he'd have to lie and hide and manipulate like he has in almost every other romantic relationship he's ever had. And visually, I could totally see it. They are around the same age, and Dexter has always had a thing for blondes, so Charley is right up his alley. But how would they do a 180 that quickly? One of the last times they saw each other, they were threatening each other's loved ones. Now they are all over each other. If they take it there, the writers are going to have to do a bit of heavy lifting to make the transition believable, but it's not impossible, and it would be incredibly fun to watch. And anyway, it's long overdue. You may recall from our video breaking down everything that definitely needs to happen in season 2 that Dexter getting a new romantic partner was on that list. It's been forever. Dexter hasn't had a girlfriend since Chief Bishop in Iron Lake, and he hasn't had a partner he could actually be himself with since Hannah in Miami. Harrison wasn't even 7 years old then, and now he's got to be in his mid-20s. Being that lonely for that long may be enough to help Dexter let go of some of his reservations about Charley. I mean, he was considering giving it a try with Lady Vengeance, and she was obviously a bona fide lunatic. Who else would willingly hang out with people like Rapunzel, the Gemini Killer, the Canton Clubber, and Leon Prater year after year with no issue? Dexter was also willing to overlook the crazy in other women who piqued his interests. Leela was a criminal and an ex-meth addict, but he barely hesitated getting with her after an argument with Rita. Hannah was a serial poisoner who tried to kill his own sister and then gaslit him when he confronted her about it. Later, she broke out of prison, drugged, and kidnapped Dexter, and yet he was still head over heels for her. The point is, Dexter can be pretty forgiving when he thinks he has the chance at a real connection. So as long as Charley doesn't bring any harm to Harrison, it's reasonable to believe that Dexter may be open to hook up with her. It would be a very compelling development, and if Charley is playing him, that probably won't work out too well for her in the end. Dexter killed his own brother, he won't have a problem killing his latest fling if he needs to. And if they are getting serious and everything goes well, that means there is a good chance we will get to see even more Uma Thurman in Season 3, and absolutely no one would be mad at that. Charley is a standout character, and bringing her back for Season 2 was an incredibly popular decision. No matter what direction they take her character arc this season, everyone will be seated and watching with bated breath to see how it all shakes out. But what do you think? Would you rather see Charley as a friend or a foe to Dexter in the upcoming season? Could you see him ever fully trusting a woman who pulled a gun on his son and almost let him die? If she is coming after Dexter, do you think Charley has a chance in hell at pulling it off? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments section. And if you like this video, check out our breakdown of everything that needs to happen in Dexter Resurrection Season 2. It's dropping this October, by the way, so be sure to slash that subscribe button for even more fresh Dexter breakdowns when it does. Thanks for watching.